Good afternoon. Actually, it's not that early. It felt like it was early when I started thinking about streaming today, but it's not really. It's like 5 p.m. Uh, but I have a thing that I need to do because I told somebody I'd do it, and I figured sitting down to do it on stream. Good morning, gamer. Hachimachi, is that the Lua V Lucky? My god. It's been ages. I'm glad I was able to, like, attract you like a moth to a flame with tantalizing bits of JavaScript and/or HTML. How are you doing? Nice to see you. I think this is probably the first time you've actually been here since you got the artist badge for some of these bangers, like such. Oh, and I still have my Nico chat on. That's fun. Enjoy the artist badge. I gotta get actual badges for my channel. Maybe that'll be like my 6-year anniversary goal. Will be getting bespoke little baubles. Who knows? I don't know what's a good idea. The one that springs to mind would be like pizza in a wheel with varying number of slices. But I don't know. How loud is my VLC? It feels loud. I can't tell though. I think my VLC is too loud. As much as I love this song, I gotta lower it for my own sanity. There we go. Okay. So, the plan today is I have a friend who wants to be able to trigger something specific in VTube Studio when conditions within OBS are met. Namely, they want something to happen in VTube Studio whenever one of their audio sources reaches above a certain threshold. And so to me, the most obvious way to make this happen is to just build them a little HTML page that's running some JavaScript that has the API clients for both VTube Studio and for OBS. I'm sure there's probably a smarter way to do it, but this seems like a good thing to give to somebody who's not looking to be a programmer themselves. So to that end, as you can see here, I've got the docs for OBS pulled up. There's actually an event for getting the volume from your various volume sources that we're going to make use of. And I've got the docs for the VTube Studio client in JavaScript made by the one, the only, shout out, Akbar? I think that's the name they use here. Yep, that's them. Well, I thought they had a different avatar for their VTuber account. They must, because I'm not following this one. But that is their avatar on GitHub. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to be using lots of tools at my disposal here. And then all of that's going to come together. Hey Denshi, how's it going? All of that is planned to come together in, like, a very basic HTML page here. Where let me change my settings here, make this really big so you can read it. Why did they change this? This used to just have font size. There we go. 22. 20. There we go. Nice and big. Cool, cool, cool. So the plan would be just give them a little HTML dashboard. They can type in the name of the parameter they want to increment with every time they reach the certain volume threshold, and then we should be good from there. So, I guess without... Ooh, Pog indeed. Hello. Hi, hi, hi. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna basically... Oh! I guess one other thing worth mentioning. I don't know if I can say who this is for. I guess it's maybe a secret. It's somebody you know. It's definitely somebody you know, Denshi. But I'm gonna avoid implicating anybody because I want you to be surprised by the gag when it happens. But it's definitely someone you know. I'll definitely say that much. So one thing that I'll be doing, it's not Germa. Germa did not ask for this. This project is not for Germa. So one other thing that I'll go on and say is I'm going to be cannibalizing a lot of code from this, which is a website I made and released back in December. This is a tool for Pokemon that I have, and it is the first thing I ever built that was a plugin for OBS. So I will be ripping HTML and code out of here. Basically, this thing can connect to VTube Studio. This thing can connect to OBS, and it will make like a nice overlay for your Pokemon tournaments. A lot of people that I know have been using this, and they get like regional quality production out of it. You got your pairings and all sorts of stuff. But behind the scenes, this is connecting to OBS over WebSocket, and so I will be ripping code out of here pretty willy-nilly. that's basically the plan. This is fun, though. I had a lot of fun making this. I gotta figure out a time to work on this on stream, but it hasn't come up yet, because I usually work on this during my morning commute, where I have no internet access. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this. Hello. Good to see you, Utah. Hi, indeed. Okay, so we've got all of our tools here. First things first is setting up the VTube Studio API client, which I am told looks something like this. We're gonna pop you back over here. Also, I'm going to commit a really big cardinal sin of programming, and I'm going to be writing all of my scripts in an inline script tag in the HTML itself, because I don't want to give this person multiple files that they have to wrangle and keep track of. I'm also using a CDN for both of the other libraries, a content delivery network. So the API client for VTube Studio you can get this way. This is coming out of Hawkbar's wonderful library. You get the plugin name, which I'll define later. You have to specify functions for getting and setting your auth token. And I think that looks something, it's going to look something like this. It's going to be like function set auth token, or no, it's auth token setter, set auth token. Now, this is also going to be fun because I'm using vanilla JavaScript here, so I'm not going to have any guardrails for type safety or anything like that. But we should be okay. Auth token. Yeah, we'll do something there, and then function get auth token. Doesn't have any arguments, like such. So that tells our client 2 functions to call when it needs to do these things. We're also going to need to specify keys. We're going to get this from the HTML, I think. So before anything, I'm going to set up my various load functions. I think a really important way to think about building any kind of plugin or tool or even game is to look at how your data is going to be saved, because everything should be data driven, I think. If you work on saving your data as an afterthought, once you build like a nice beautiful web page and has all these features, but you have no thought as to how you're going to record the state of that tool, you're going to be in a lot of trouble and it's going to hurt very badly. So to that end, let's do const v2, or this will be VTS save data, like such. It's going to have such a banger information as auth token. Denshi's writing this down. Denshi, I know you need a lot of help making a functional application, but someday, with enough perseverance, you might have a real hit on your hands, I think. I sense great potential in you, and I think one day you might be able to reach the user base that you deserve. But we'll get there. With my wonderful tips about data serialization, you too can be a superstar in the programming world. You can literally have tens of users. It'll be great. Okay, so auth token, port, this will be 8081 by default. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically making a save data object, and I'm giving it some default values. And then so what we're going to do... I don't want to see this... Actually, well, okay, so you say... I think I'm the right kind of code pervert where I do want to see the serialization code in VTube Studio, because I'm also the kind of code pervert where I would actually just, like, offer to refactor it for you, because I think that kind of thing is fun. It's like solving a jigsaw puzzle, except you don't get to see what the picture it's supposed to make is. You just got to figure out how the pieces fit together and work backwards. But I think you're probably correct. Most people would not want to know how the sausage is made, so to speak. They don't want to see what you're doing under the hood. And you're probably right. I honestly think my own library for VTube Studio has gotten kind of bloated, and that's just because I didn't really know what I was doing when I made it, and it has to continue to work no matter how many times I update it, so there's only so much fat I can trim off of it, and so many ways I can rework it before it just doesn't update smoothly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say VTS save data dot auth token equals auth token. And then we're going to also have, at the very end here, function save VTS data. And we're just going to do local storage dot set item. So local storage is a cool thing that exists in modern web browsers, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just space you can save in your cache that will store memory about whatever you need. And conveniently, you can store like JSON objects really, really easily. If you delete, it's kind of like cookies in that regard. I don't really know how they differ from cookies from like a functionality perspective, or I guess even technical implementation perspective. You'll get a lot of websites telling you about their cookie policy because of the European Union demanding such, but I don't know how that functionally differs from like local storage. Anyway, you give it a key, in this case VTS settings, like such, and then your value is going to be json.stringify VTS save data, like such. That'll do it. And then conversely, I guess it can't be a const, but it should be a const. Function load VTS. Okay. And so what we're going to do here is, since we already have like a kind of schema that we've defined in terms of what we're expecting the save data to have, we are going to, instead of just trying to overwrite this, because you might note I made this a constant, I'm not going to be able to just overwrite the memory object, and that's by design. What we are going to do is we're going to say const loaded data equals local storage dot get item VTS settings, and then we're going to say json.parse. I think that's what I want to do. But if there's not anything there, then I think we just skip this whole thing. So yeah, okay. Hold on, we're going to do if local storage dot key, name of the nth key, no. Okay, actually what I can do is this. Because basically I don't want to try and parse something that doesn't exist. So we're going to do const loaded equals that. And we're going to say if loaded we can do const json equals loaded. So here what we're saying is we're going to try and fetch an object out of local storage with this key, which is the one we use to save stuff as. If we have an object, then we can parse it into JSON from the string. And I don't know why I have brackets there. Then we can do for prop, or it should be let prop in JSON. Here's a fun piece of JavaScript for you also. There are two types of for loops you can do in, or like two types of for each loops you can do in JavaScript. There's in and of. Of is the one you think of when you're iterating over a set of objects. In is every property in a given object. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to say, so we have our schema of what our object is supposed to look like up here. So we're going to say if, or sorry, no, not in JSON. We're going to do in VTS save data. And we're going to say if loaded, or rather if JSON prop, like that. Then we can say VTS save data prop equals JSON dot, or JSON prop. Oh, that's what's missing. That's what's missing. I knew I had these brackets for a reason. Okay, so this is... It's, yeah, right? I mean, JavaScript object notation. It's not C# object notation. So I agree, but it is kind of the de facto way of sharing information in a human-readable function, or format. Okay, so what I'm doing here, instead of just overwriting this object with whatever the hell we pull out of our local storage, because that could be nothing, it could be a completely different object, it could be only partially configured, like it could say only have an auth token and no port. What we're doing here is we're turning it into a JSON, and then we're iterating over every property in this constant object that we defined, properties being auth token and port, like by name. And we're saying if JSON also has that property, the thing we just loaded has that property, then you can overwrite the object we're using as our save data reference with the value we pulled out. In this way, if you have like malformed save data or like incomplete save data, you're not eliminating a load-bearing field here. Like if we saved this with only an auth token and there was no port set or something like that, and then we load it back up and it only has an auth token, when we try and connect, we're going to be hosed because we won't have a default. So here we're able to preserve defaults by doing that. All this to say, once we set our auth token, we're going to save VTS data like such, and get auth token, we're going to load VTS data, I think, is all we need to do. No, this needs to return a string. So this is going to do what? When do we want to... I guess we load, and then we say return TS save data auth token. There we go. So I think that should suffice in terms of connecting to VTube Studio. I'm going to need to make port a variable that we can set later, but that's okay. So let's take a look at how can we improve this. So we have our API client. We can do API client. Let's consult the docs. There we go. So what functions do we have on our API client? Let's just test. I'm eventually going to need to inject parameter data is the exciting thing that I've been tasked with here. But let's see if we can just get some basic information. So API state. This is like the go-to... Your brain hurts looking at coding. Aren't you like an accountant or something? Shouldn't this be easier for you? Like, what is JavaScript code compared to tax code? US tax code? That's like... I don't know, I feel like a drop in the bucket. Not at all. Ugh, I don't know. I am a human calculator for my day job, so I guess I get the best of both worlds, but to me this feels like this would be easier to digest, because there's like a tangible goal, whereas tax code is kind of just arbitrary math that somebody made you do for no particular reason. Coding is the new patty flipping. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to do API client dot API state, I think is the name of the function here. This is going to return what's called a promise. So there's a special way to handle those, and they require data. No data is specified. That's fine. So this returns a promise of an object that has these things in it. So we can really easily just do then. This will be good. Console.log good. Catch. Bad. Console.error. Bad. Oh, I'm not showing my job. I'm immediately falling into the trap of not remembering to show my code. Okay, so we've established our API client in VTube Studio. We are going to... Oh, actually, this should be just like this. And port is going to be... I don't think I can do this dot port. There we go. Lua's talking about prompt engineering, so she will promptly be timed out, I think is probably how we're going to go here. I'm sick and tired of hearing about prompt engineering. But you're right. Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. It is the new patty flipping, in that it is, like, I don't know. I have nothing good to say about that kind of stuff. I saw a good tweet about a guy who was getting really, really ornery that somebody else had used his... Like, he is a prompt jockey on the generative AI circuit, and he was mad that somebody else took his prompt and got more likes on Twitter with the art that it output, and I was just like, literally go walk off a bridge, please, for the love of God. Like, this is the most banal shit imaginable. I don't know how people like that don't have any self-awareness, where they just, like, don't understand what they're saying is, should be derided, and that they are living jokes. That's probably the meanest actual thing I will say on stream. Also, like, they should walk off of a bridge in Minecraft with fall damage enabled on the server, like that kind of thing. But yeah, it's like, one, it's a literal skill issue, but it's just like, I don't know how you think that's a thing you can get mad about. Like, I don't know. It's rough. Anyway, so we got our client here. It should automatically connect on creation. So what I'm telling it next to do after we establish that is to try and connect to the API and get the state of the API. This is using a promise, as I mentioned before. A promise is basically a piece of code in JavaScript that says, I don't have a value for you yet, because this is going to take some time to do, but when I do have data, I will come back to this memory address and we can execute some functions, you know, between friends. And so that's where the then and catch functions come on. So the return value of this is a promise. Then we're chaining that into the then operation on the promise object, which says, we finally got our data back, what do we want to do with it? And then there's also the catch, which is, in case something blows up, the promise can't return data like we want, this prints out the error. So that's how promises work. They're like a pointer to where we should come back to later when data is finally good. The reason that it takes long, for example, is we need to make a HTTP request or a WebSocket connection, and there's no guarantee that we can respond in a quick amount of time. If this was what's called blocking code, where it wasn't a promise and it was all synchronous, if the WebSocket took like 250 milliseconds to respond, or something like that, the entire program would just hang for 250 milliseconds. Like, you wouldn't be able to receive user input, whatever critical code loop you have would just freeze. So promises are very important. They make a lot of sense once you get to use them. So we have this. Let's look at our browser again. I'm going to fire up the page we got here, refresh, and we should see something in our console. The request timed out. WebSocket connection failed. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why. Why is it trying again and again and again also? Huh. Okay, let's back it up a little bit. Let's see what we're doing. If I remove this and we just try and connect, what happens? Because I'm not getting an auth request on VTube Studio, though I think I already approved said auth request like a little while earlier when I was messing around with this. Let's see. So I've removed that. Let's fire up our browser again. Refresh. WebSocket connection failed. Why? Okay, so let's run it back even more. Let's remove our URL. Oh, it's because I have the port wrong. It's 8001, not 8081. That's why. And now I've encountered a cool issue where, because I already have been saving my data, it's going to be wrong when we... shoot, that's fun. Because I haven't built in a way to actually set that yet. So let's... Yeah, so I set the wrong port and then immediately saved the data, and so it's going to load from that every time. So let's go into here and fix that for myself real fast. Eventually we'll have buttons and stuff to allow us to, like, retry connection. But we're going to go to Application. Now here we are in our local storage. In our console over here. And we behold local storage. Auth token. It's going in the garbage. Oh, actually, no, I guess I haven't invoked those save methods yet. So, we're fine. But here, if you ever need to access it, here's where your local storage is. It's just under the domain of the website you're on, and since I'm firing this up locally, it's just file. So any locally run stuff will basically come from here, which is fine. A more complex example of local storage would be like from my Skeletom domain, where I've got large JSON objects saved in local storage memory for my various nefarious purposes. I don't know how it differs from cookies. I really don't understand. Cookies, as you can see, are separate here. I assume cookies expire, or have, like, they've got all these columns. Domain, path, I don't know. I've never built something that uses cookies because I don't think about the web in that regard, and I'm not an advertising mogul. But it does seem like it would solve similar problems, where it's remembering information about the user. Obviously, local storage is for until they clear their cache. I think cookies probably have some other kind of maybe security function built into them where it's harder for a server to deal with them. I'm not really sure. Anyway, let's see. We fixed our port, so I can probably just refresh, and we should be good now in our console. Okay, didn't spit out any errors, so we like that for me. Let's roll this back in and see if we can get some information about the API. See if that's working as God intended. Refresh, request timed out, internal client error. Okay. Got it. I'm thinking that's because the client hadn't authenticated yet, and we don't have any function that says to wait. So, probably not how we want to go about handling this in the future. Like, if I refresh again, what happens? Yeah, the request timed out. Oh, interesting. Oh, wait, that's why. No, actually, I don't know. It's asking me to authenticate my plugin over and over and over again, which would tell me that it's not properly saving the thing. That seems correct. So why is that? Because we should have told it that our setAuthToken function should be saving our VTS data. So once we get our auth token back, like such, this is the function we're calling right here. Auth token setter, setAuthToken, saving VTS data. The most professional way to debug is to just, you know, litter your stuff with console outs, but that's fine. Load, okay. Is maybe this not working? Is my load function not firing? It should. But it looks like we're never even saving in the first place. So I don't know what's up with that. Well, no matter. I'm sure I'll figure it out shortly. Yeah, it's just like not saving. That's very strange. Do I need to like return something? Okay, so if we remove this API client call from here and we refresh again, do we get anything in our application local storage? No. Huh. Why not? Why is this not saving? Okay. It should be every time we get our auth token. This should be saving to storage, but it's not. This is interesting and a problem I didn't have while attempting to get this set up. Set auth token is defined ahead of time. That's good. Are we triggering this function at all? Setting auth token and getting auth token. Let's see. Getting auth token, okay. But it never triggers the setting auth token function for some reason. It still thinks it's getting auth token. Allow. Okay, wait, so there we're good. Here's my beautiful auth token and my port. Okay, so that time it worked. I don't understand why, though. That's really strange. But we got there eventually. So now if I refresh... Cool, okay. And then, so now it's printing out the properties of the object that it has, like we told it to over in here. So let's get rid of that now. We know that's working. So now we can return to trying to get it to print out the state of the API, which we're going to need to do in a delayed, I think, function. Does this return a... This is an object, so let's see what the API client has to say for itself. What's up, Denshi? That's a good emote, just in general. What is this? Oh, it's just like... Is there like an onConnect function? Let's see. Constructor... Accessors is connecting. Methods disconnect, off, on. I would assume it would be like on connect is what I'm looking for here. But I don't know. Did this actually say anything further? Oh, geez. Okay, wait, hold on. I think what I'm seeing here is that connect is a valid thing you can say. So we're going to wrap this in on. There it is. Yeah, did you see? Did you see it? So we're saying once we connect, we can try and do this code. We don't want to do it ahead of time, because that's when we were running into errors before, where it was saying it was not connected yet. I think that's the way to do this. Let's see. Hey! Oh, I actually like the little red ring with the Alice Point emote while I've got the Nico Nico chat on, because it does make the circle, like, scroll across the screen. So it's like, ah, did you see it? There it is. And you can actually put it on my screen somewhere. That could actually be a fun point redeem, like a did you see it redeem that just puts a red circle at literally random on your screen and like zooms in on that area. That feels like a Shindig's post waiting to happen, making that in OBS, where you just say, did you see it? And then, I don't know, get the X-Files theme to play. Okay, so here's information about VTube Studio, which we got when we wanted it. You know somebody who has that exact redeem? Okay, so then it must be a good idea. I must be a genius, is what I'm saying. Okay, as a recap, what we just learned is that I was trying to call this API state function too soon. This goes back into things being asynchronous versus synchronous. When we created this client here, that's a synchronous call, but under the hood, it is firing off an asynchronous process. So the code will resume control to the next line here, but there's still stuff going on under the hood. Promises, if you will. And so then the next line I was saying, okay, API client, now do this for me. But it couldn't do this for me because it was still connecting. And there's no way to tell it to wait for that innately. So instead what we do is we wait for it to say it's connected. And then from here, we know we're good to go. Once we've received this connect event, then we kick this off and we're all set from there. So that's basically what we've learned. I don't actually care about the API state at all. It's just a good benchmark for knowing that we've been able to connect to VTube Studio, which we did. Okay, so that's all well and good. The other half of this is connecting to OBS. So let's keep that, I guess. Now, OBS is a different kind of API. It's still WebSocket, which is nice. But I'm going to set this up in a slightly different way, because they've got their own best practices. So we're going to say const OBS client equals new OBS web socket like such. And then we're going to say function connect to OBS. Yeah, it's I mean, it's WebSocket stuff, so it's similar in that regard, but not too similar. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say address password. We're going to do return OBS client dot connect. We want to do password and password dot length. We can do that. I think this also returns a promise. I'm not super sure off the top of my head. And then kind of like what we had to do here with the API client on Connect, there's something very similar, which is going to be OBS client dot on, a catch-all for receiving events. But here, instead of having like nice little lowercase, it's identified. Because why would we use connect? Identified, yeah. Why would we use the standard like connect when we can make up our own stuff? A fifth competing standard. And in here is where we would start firing off functions against OBS. So we've got that. And now what I'm not clear on, because I haven't used this particular event yet, is if we go back to our OBS WebSocket docs, this, I think, is a event we can listen to. I think. It's a high-volume event providing volume levels of all active inputs every 50 milliseconds. So I think that's a thing that we just have access to. So I'm going to just go ahead and try it. Unidentified, and then we have OBS client dot on input volume. I'm assuming there's an object that we get back as part of the event. So this should spam up our console quite a bit, but hopefully it works. And then we need to finally do connect to OBS. This will be localhost colon 4455, I think is the default. I think. Obviously, these will be parameterized in a moment. But for now, let's see. Go back to our web browser, refresh. It does not appear that we have made contact successfully with OBS. But even if I didn't, I'm not sure how I would know. Let's see, I can open up my WebSocket server settings, 4455. Yeah, it is connected. I'm looking at my WebSocket server settings right now in OBS. There is an active connection. So we did connect successfully with that connect call, which is good. But I guess this is not how we access the input volume meters event. Maybe I need to do something different. It makes note of it being a high volume event. Maybe I have to connect to those differently. There's like a whole lot to read here. I don't know if you know this, but the docs are really big for the OBS API. So, event subscription. Subscription value to receive this. Okay, how do I do this? Okay, this plugin is for a friend. They want a very specific gag to happen. They have a parameter that they need to drive in VTube Studio that they want to increment every time their microphone reaches above a certain volume. I won't go into more specifics because I want people to see the gag and laugh at it and think it's funny and not expect it to be coming. But basically, I need to find a way to get the volume data out of VTube or out of OBS, which is what I'm looking at right now, and then drive that as a incrementer on a tracking parameter in VTube Studio. So to accomplish that, I am writing JavaScript, and I'm giving them a little HTML file that they can fire up that will run the JavaScript for them, and it will do both things, because this seems like the most straightforward way I can provide this. I think a single HTML file that just runs in browser is probably a lot more elegant than me trying to build some kind of exe application in some kind of other framework. So that's the plan. Now I gotta figure out how to get this volume data, though. So it seems like I need to subscribe to this event, which makes sense. How come OBS and not direct mic volume? I don't know. I think they might have mixers in it. If you just go straight to the microphone, you don't have any of the post-processing. If they have artificial gain or dampening in their OBS microphone, then that might play into it as well. And I don't know if they want to use specifically their microphone or a different volume input source. It could be anything, right? I'm going to be testing it today by cranking the music I'm listening to really, really loud. Just for what it's worth. That's how I'm planning on doing this. I could test it by yelling, but I think it'd be funnier to just blast music. So, let's see. Event subscription. How do I do this? Wait, that's not useful. I need, like, JavaScript. Specifically how we're supposed to do this. Oh, okay. I understand now. I think. It's part of the connect arguments. Hey, Doctor, good to see you. How's it going? I'm happy to see so many people coming out of the woodwork for this one. I don't remember how to stream programming, which is to say most of the programming stuff I've been tasked with over the past however long has been stuff I pretty much can't stream. Which is good. It's nice to keep busy, but it's bad in that I feel like I'm letting people down. I'm not delivering the content that I want. Instead, they have to watch me play Pokemon or like something else like a video gamer, and that's just kind of gross. So now I gotta figure out what the... I'm assuming it's just like a string like this. Only just now sitting down at your computer. Yeah, I was running around playing Pokemon Go today. They're doing their Generation 4 World Tour today. So I think I walked probably like 10 or 12 kilometers, which isn't a lot when I say it like that, but it's more than I usually do on a Saturday morning to try and catch your various legendary Pokemon. Gen 4 has a very special place in my heart as the first actual console Pokemon games that I have played. People always hear that information and assume that I'm much younger than I am, but the truth is I just didn't have any Nintendo consoles until I was much later in life. So I hopped on board with Generation 4 and then played the back catalog shortly thereafter. Okay, let's fire this up. Refresh. Your event subscription is not an unsigned number. Ew! Oh, that's how they're doing it. It's a flag. It's not a string. That's gross. Oh, it literally says what the identifier value is. Okay. Hold on. Wait. Hold on, we're fine. We're gonna survive. There is information as to what the flag is. It's not a string, it's a number. We're making it out. Let's see. Does that work? Yes! Yes! Give me data. Okay. Cool. And now you guys get a little peek into how my OBS is set up. Check out my incredibly, like, organized mind. This is how the current scene that I have has all these audio sources laid out exactly like this. Now, why is this an array? That's very strange to me. I don't know what the values in here would be. They're all muted for sure. But, like, the one we care about is this one? I don't know why it's an array. That's really weird. I was expecting a single numeric value per item. But we're getting an array, so I'll have to read the docs, I guess. Input levels mul. And then each one of these is an array. Okay. But hey, we're getting information. That's awesome. Okay. So, we've got that. Cool. Let's read the docs some more, I guess. Let's see if we can learn about this guy. Of course not, though. It just says array object. An array of active inputs with their associated volume levels. Thank you. That's awesome. Anything else in here? It's set up fine. I actually think they have to be, like, super, super organized in this regard to keep things really future-proof. I don't know why they'd pick a number. Or no, I do know why they'd pick a number. Okay, so, I can actually explain this. I can explain why they're doing things this way. So, here there's a thing called an identifier value. And so this is a number. And this double caret operation refers to what's called bit shifting, which is... Oh, how do I explain bit shifting? I don't need to explain it. These guys can explain it for me. At a core level, what does bit shifting do? Top answer. Yes, they're the left shift operators, but what do they do? Okay, nobody's giving me an answer yet. Left shift. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. Integers are stored in memory as a series of bits. For example, the number 6 is stored as a 32-bit int like this. So you've got the maximum possible storage, and this is binary, right? So you've got 0, 1, then you've got 2 and 4, right? So 0 plus 2 plus 4. Let me make this even bigger, actually. So when you shift something left, for example, we're saying 6 shifted to the left by 1, you end up scooting those bits over. So now instead of 6, it is no 1s, no 2s, a 4, and an 8. So now you've got, that would be 12, right? The number is 12. We've bit shifted 1 to the left, and now it is 12. We've moved our memory in place one spot. And so what the flags here are, this is 1 shifted 16 to the left, for example, and the next one is 1 shifted 17 to the left. And so basically what that's allowing us to do is interpret a long string of zeros like this, where now each position in this giant long 32-bit int can represent a flag. So, for example, you could have a number like this, where your ultimate value is only... What did we say this was? This is 6, right? Yeah, it says it's 6. So 6 represents not the first flag, yes the second flag, yes the third flag, no the fourth flag, no the fifth flag, etc., etc., etc. So you can set lots of flags at the same time with just a single command, basically. You're able to set all these things together because each digit in this long set of zeros can represent an independent flag. Instead of need to register like 18 different times, you can just have 18 different ones in different positions in this 32-bit integer. And that is why it is built this way. It's very low-level programming, but it is the most efficient way to do it. So where we saw, for example, here, they're saying event subscription all, which I'm assuming is one bit shifted not at all. So like it's the zeros place. And then this OR operator, like, does the equivalent of putting, like, combining these two values, right? And then we saw this was 16. So now the 0th and 16th values in this big string of zeros are 1, and as such the system will understand to send us events for those two types of messages. And that is why they use bitwise flags instead of just strings. But I think to make this more accessible, they could probably have also just made it an array of strings that you pass in and say, give me, you know, events A, events B, and events C, and you have to spell them out. I think that would be fine too. But it's okay. I understand. What I don't understand is what the payload of this is trying to tell me. I don't know how to interpret that. Input. We've got our microphone. And there's just 2 of them. And there's 0, 1, and 2. And I don't know what they mean. But hey, maybe I can find out. What is it called? Input levels mul? No, nobody's useful. I'm assuming it's like a high, low, medium or something, but I'm not intelligent enough to be able to suss out what these things mean. And then I'm really lost as to why there's a whole second array. On my microphone, do I have like a filter? I have a noise suppression filter, okay. So hold on, I'm going to turn this off and it's going to sound really bad. But now, I should be getting only 1 value, I think, in all future events for this, for my microphone. No, I still get 2. Or let's refresh. Let's start clean. No, I still get 2. Okay. Yeah, they just go. I mean, they call it a high volume event for a reason. And they're talking about a different kind of thing, different kind of volume. So yeah, what I'm trying to figure out is why I'm getting 2 streams of data back for these. I don't know what these mean. I guess is what I'm saying. Which is kind of a bummer. But I was really hoping it would be way more intuitive. We're not going to log these out to console forever also. I just need to see them for a little bit. And actually, I probably don't even need to keep logging these out to console ever. I can just copy my object here. Copy object. Let's go back to VTubes. Too many things have V. They start with V. Visual Studio Code. So let's... One day I'll figure out what the correct... What is the... Why do I not remember how to do this? Whatever. Here's our object. Is what I'm trying to get across. No, actually that's a bad way to save that. We need a new word instead of virtual. Alright, Lua V Lucky, what does the V stand for? You tell me. You are the judge, jury, and executioner here, the final arbiter of what V should stand for. You tell me, boss. My V stands for versatility. Wait, hold on. My V stands for veritosity today. I'm assuming that's a typo, but if it doesn't, or if it isn't rather, more power to you. Veritas meaning true, and illy meaning not a typo, okay. I read that as versatility, my dyslexic ass. We're Googling this right now. Oh, he made it up. Okay. That's cool. Not a typo, but, you know, what is it? So a wizard is never early or late. They arrive precisely as they expect, or when they intend to. So. Veritasium is a guy's channel. Okay. She made it up. It's a guy's Twitter also. It's a guy who has a Wikipedia page. It came to me in a source. Came to me in a dream. How do I MLA cite a dream? APA citations, anybody know? Okay. I think it actually doesn't matter just yet if I can understand what this is doing. The important thing is we get the event stream, and it's at least partially legible in that I can pluck out objects from it, I think. So we're going to need to, like, go over the array, find the one that has the input name that we care about. So let's see if we can filter this down, actually. Let's build a little filter. That would be the next step here. That's what I would do. And what I'm going to do for let item of obj. Really good names over here also. If item.input name. Yeah, sometimes they just go. I mean, I could definitely stand to calibrate them better. Definitely no shade to your rigging. For those who don't know, Lua V Lucky here is the one who gave me these wonderful bony little mitts. And I'm only using my, like, standard definition webcam to track them. I don't have any kind of cool hardware or anything. Full shade to my rigging. Up to you. I think I can probably do better to calibrate them so they don't just disappear when they go slightly too low. But every time I'm able to, like, Columbo scratch my face, or, like, be like, oh, jeez, I feel really powerful. And I do this a lot. And I gotta figure out how to make it not do the flippy wrist. Because it gets really confused once I bring a hand across my torso. Because it's like, that's your left hand, right? No, it's your right hand. And I can't figure out if I'm just... Oh, yeah, like such. And then it goes flying away. But generally, I love being able to wave to people. Yeah, I probably could. But that would require me to ever have any foresight or thoughts about improving myself. Which is far and few between. I'm glad that you like seeing your work get used, though. Because I think it's a huge value add to me personally. The very first time I got to debut this was April 1st, and I kicked myself for not doing a outfit reveal. I really, really wanted to have, like, a silhouette in retrospect where I'm, like, doing the standard A pose, and it's just literally my normal silhouette, and I'd have people guess what it was, and then I'd do, like, the slow reveal, and it would just be literally me in the exact same outfit that it's ever been. And people would get upset and be like, oh, why was this like a stupid goof? And I'd just be like, oh, geez, you're sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'd just start like covering my face in shame. And then it would reveal that I now have hand rigging, and that was the big glow up. But I really liked being able to do this on April Fool's, because I was playing the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. So I was able to have like a little handheld magnifying glass. I thought that was fun. But, you know. The rigging causes me minor psychic damage to see the errors, but it is good enough. I'm certainly not complaining, and the only person who needs to love it is me, because I'm the person who paid you. So, I think we're fine. Okay, did we successfully filter down our array? I've filtered it too much. We have to go back. Input name, I guess, wasn't the... Hold on. Now I'm out of my capture groups section here on my stream deck. Okay, hold on. I filtered it too much. We have inputs. Oh, okay, that's why. Input name. Okay. Hold on, I can fix this now. There's one level deep, so obj.inputs. if like such. Okay, so now we can get rid of this, and we can filter our array down. There we go. So now this is just my microphone. And I still don't really know how to parse this information. These numbers seem incredibly similar, so I really don't know what they're all about. And I don't know why there's 3 of them. And I don't know where... I guess more critically, I don't know where to get that information. This is all about the protocol. But is there anything about data types? In the README, perhaps? Is that asking for too much? Surely somewhere in this, there has to be information about data types. Is there an OBS Discord? Oh god, don't even get me started. It should just be available. It should just be out here somewhere. There probably is, but I sure hope not. Because you can't search a Discord. It's the death of free information. They should have a wiki, which is what I'm looking at right now, kind of. But I'm not... The word volume shows up a bunch of times because it's a high volume event. Input volume changed. Okay, so now volume level multiplier is what it says volume mul stands for here. But here we're getting levels mul, plural. I don't know what this means. I might be able to intuit it if I could visualize the data stream that I'm getting here. But I don't... It's not important. That's actually fine. We can go back here. There's more work to do before I actually need to make stuff work. So we've got a filter going on. We can filter our inputs by a given name, which is good. And we can connect to VTube Studio, which is good. So that's 2 good things. I think now we can actually build a little HTML. We can have a little HTML as a treat. And what I'm going to do is brazenly cannibalize old code, because if it ain't broke, why fix it? So here we're going to go like such, and I am literally just going to copy this div. Copy. And I think I can paste this straight into VS Code. I can. That's nice. I'm sure it's going to format, like, terribly, because it has a bunch of CSS classes that don't presently exist. But this is my input fields for the address for VTube Studio with a default, the port, and optionally a password and a button, and an errors printout, which won't do anything without any JavaScript going through them, but that's okay. So what we can do is, instead of telling this to just connect on here, we can do document.get element by ID. The ID in this case is, what did we just call it? Just literally connect, which I will need to rename later. Add event listener. On click? Click, I think. I think it's just click. And now from there we can connect. So now if I go back and refresh my page again, we shouldn't get our event stream like we were seeing before. This is a lie, but that's okay. And if I click connect now, now we get our event stream because it's firing that event and it's connecting only when we tell it to. So that's nice. There's no disconnect, but who needs that? Cool. So much groundwork to do. but it's fine. It is relatively easy, and if I weren't painstakingly explaining every step of the way, I think I could fly through this a lot faster. But that's no fun. I really desperately needed for my own mental health to see game development and programming as a category that I've recently streamed on twitch.tv. The fact that I haven't had that since I think literally last June was kind of bugging me out. I was feeling like a fraud. So this is for me more than anything. And this will be organized shortly also. OBS, save data. Address would be localhost. Port default is 4455. And then we're going to have pretty much the same things that we did here. Cool. That's good. And yeah, okay. Save OBS data. Makes sense, makes sense. So now what I can do is I can do like document get element by ID. What do we call this? Probably just password. Yeah. Or port is what I want to actually demonstrate here. Port. Add event listener. This would be... I forget. This is like... Is it value or changed? Change, I think. Okay, I think that's what we want to do, and then save. So what I should be able to demonstrate here now is I can refresh. We default to our port 4455. I'm going to change it to 6969 because it's a good number. I'm going to end. We're saving our OBS data. I'm going to refresh, and it does not load. Awesome. Can I access... Oh, oops. Okay, that's why. I need to define this way earlier. Like that. This is going to be fun to organize. So the problem was I had my object that I was trying to mutate defined too late. We were trying to modify it before it was defined. Let's refresh, because now it should actually be fine. No. Why? Oh. Duh. I'm thinking too many steps ahead. I'm expecting there to be a... What am I trying to say? I'm loading the data, but that doesn't actually do anything yet, because what we need to do after is actually populate that data and make it do something useful. So, for example, we can do this value equals OBS port, like such. And there's going to need to be a password as well. Cool, okay. Cool. There we go. Now, when I refresh this. Why is it loading? Ominous. Cool. Remember 6969. Oh, it's thinking I mean the string literal word undefined though, which is bad. For the password. I'm assuming that's what it has populated here. Because now if I hit connect to OBS, it's not going to work. Oh, it is going to work. That's interesting. This should just be empty. I'm surprised that that works, actually. But it does remember them. Like, I can change this to, like, nonsense address. It saves. I'll refresh. It remembers that that's my thing. I should hit connect. Why does it still work? Oh! That's why it still works. Once again, we need to now pull back the curtain a little bit more and more. So now we can remove our function from here, where we are always connecting to localhost no matter what. And we can do obs save data.address : mission succeeded, failure. Basically, yeah. It's always like one step forward, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then port. We go back. Nonsense address with a port of 6969. We connect. No, can't do that. We have a failure here. And then I change this to like local host 4455. We've saved twice because we've modified these 2 fields. We connect, and we're back at it. And I refresh, and it remembers my connection data. So there we go. That's what I was trying to set up. So the next thing will be making this actually do something and spitting out errors here, which should be relatively easy to do. And then I guess this needs to be cleaned up, but that's something I can do off stream. So let's print out some errors. How did I do this elsewhere? So here's the code that I have from the Pokemon website that I was showing off before, where I have my own library for interfacing with OBS. And so what I basically did is I have a function that checks the connection status, and I run this on a timer. Like every 500 milliseconds I would just check, and I would iterate over every status class object and basically do a dummy call like get API status. If we can do that, then we're good. Else we're not good. And then how did I print out the errors? I forget. I actually do not remember how I got errors populated on there. Because I don't see anything in here about, like, then. Or catch. Because it's not just this. Oh, I guess it's this. Definitely returns a promise. So let's do that. Connect to OBS. Or actually, I don't even need to catch the value here. So we're gonna do I'm actually not going to do anything with that, but we're going to do then, or catch error. No. Error. And here's where we're going to do document.get element by ID, OBS error. I think that's what we called it in the HTML. OBS error, yep, okay. Inner text. Something like that. I think we'll do it. So we're going to refresh again. Give it a bad address that doesn't exist. Connect. It just says error. But it did print, it did change. It doesn't give me a better error than this doesn't look like, though. But this is definitely firing. My error catch code is firing for sure. So I don't know how to get it to print out a better one. Let's see. No errors detected. Sure. Connect to OBS. It's just, okay, it literally just says error. This is the object. Not very useful. Not very useful at all, but that's, I guess, the best we can do. That's fine. At least it's being logged somewhere. Okay. And then, how's the dev going? I'm making progress despite everything. You're gonna hate how I'm doing it, but I am literally trying to deliver a single HTML page to somebody that just they can fire up and not have to think about. So all of my scripting is going in the script tag here, because I don't want any external files if I can help it. So that's where we're at right now. Proud of that, and then let's see. Check connection status. Yeah, you hate it. Yeah, it's okay. I can't please everybody. I can't even please most people. I often don't even please myself, frankly. But that's just how it goes. This will get cleaned up eventually too before I like actually deliver it, but and then I need to do that. Like such. Telling it to check connection status every 100 milliseconds. And uncaught reference. OBS is not defined. We love that for me. Yes, because I'm just copying this straight out of other code where we named things differently. Boom. There we go. So now it properly says it's disconnected. I will connect, and now it says it's connected. And we get our stuff. Cool, we have like a functioning, extremely bare bones loop going on here, which is great. Let's do this as well. There we go. So if we're actually able to connect just fine, it says that there are no errors detected, else it will print out the error as best as it's able to. So that's cool, that's good, we like that for us. So these are our OBS settings, then we're going to need pretty much the same stuff but for VTube Studio. So let's copy this. VTS settings. There's no password for VTube Studio. It's just port and address. So that's good. Cool. Okay. I think that should do what I expect it to. Yep, okay, so we load. It properly sets our port. You'll notice there's a slight delay where it initially has that 4455 because that's the default placeholder from the HTML element. But then it quickly loads into the correct port. This is not correct, and this is not correct, but we're getting there. And we'll have a connect to VTS button that will do cool things. And we'll be basically all set. I guess it is trying to connect to... That's kind of funny. So I guess a key difference here between these APIs that I'll talk about right now is so for OBS we can make an OBS WebSocket and then we can tell it to connect by giving it an address and a password. For VTube Studio, and my own library is guilty of doing this as well, when you create the client, the address and the port are part and parcel for the constructor, and it will immediately try and connect. So you can't just make one of these and then later try and connect with it, I don't think. You'd need to do like function ETS. You need to basically remake the entire object, but that's okay, probably. This gets into an issue with scopes now, though, where it's hard to access this unless we made this an externally defined variable and not a constant, which I guess is fine. I don't really care that much. You can do let, and it's undefined, and then now we can define it. And then later we can check, we just need to check if this is defined before we make any important calls on it. So like, for example, we can do that, and similarly, I think that's all we need to do for that. And then we have a yes status. Oh, and then I need to do basically I'm going to try and section my code off logically into the OBS section and the VTube Studio section as best as I can in terms of where all the functions go. And I'm going to try and have the patterns mirror each other as best as they can. But eventually this will be wrapped in a way that makes sense. I think these will probably both become objects that I can easily collapse. No, what am I doing here? This is going to be VTube Studio.
Okay, let's see, does this work? Cannot read properties of null, reading add event listener. That's fair. Do I not have a button called VTS Connect? No, I do. So what is it upset about? Oh, wait, I see what I did. Because I renamed my other button, the OBS button. This is now OBS Connect. Why is this saying it's connected? It shouldn't be. Oh, I know why. So much. I feel like all of my programming streams are me looking at a thing and then immediately exclaiming, "Oh, I know why." And then sometimes I know why, and oftentimes I don't. But the actual answer here is I do know why, because here I was doing a null check on the API client to make sure that we're not about to attempt to do something that we can't do. Like if this was null, you can't execute API state and get a promise. But that also means if this is null, it's never going to try and do this at all. If we haven't even attempted to connect whatsoever. So it's never getting to the catch part here, because it's just bypassing this entirely. So, how do I solve that problem? Why don't my brackets line up? What am I missing? Oh, this is indented too much. That's why. There we go. No, they both properly say they're disconnected. This isn't loading anymore, though. What's up with that? Or did it just save as the incorrect number last time? Easy way to check. Application. No, it has the port correct. So this is just not loading? I guess it's not, yeah. Why? It would say it in the console if it were. Wouldn't it? Huh? That goes for both of them, I thought. Where it says loading OBS data, loading VTube Studio data. Does it not print that? Oh no, it doesn't say anything anymore. Okay. Okay, well now that everything is button-based, we have all of our events hooked up and everything. We can, at the very, very end here, do these two. Perfect. So this will be localhost. Cannot read properties of undefined. Possibly. I mean, we connected, it would seem. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, it's because I'm treating this like it's a promise, but it's not. It could be. I can make this a promise. I think. Hold on, let me hold that thought. Another thing I will figure out later, I think. So my resolved is good, and my reject is bad. What is it complaining about? I don't understand. Oh. I do understand. Well, that's also not right. We shouldn't be connected to either of these things. I expect the input and... okay. What's wrong here? What's wrong with the script tag? I don't follow. I mean, this is one of the many reasons you don't do exactly what I'm trying to do, where you have this whole giant thing inside the script tag. I have a head tag. It's complaining that my script tag is unexpected, which tells me that something in here is prematurely ending. Here we go. There we go. Cool. Connect to OBS. That works. Connect to VTube Studio. That works. I think. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't even showing the browser. There we go. Yeah, so if I refresh this, connect to OBS, cool. Connect to VTube Studio, also cool. Those fire independently. I need to figure out why it's not loading the address correctly. It's just saying undefined. It's probably because I didn't put it in the schema for what can be saved as a piece of VTS save data here. Like such. There we go. Perfect. So that's pretty good. Now is when we get to actually make stuff happen, I think. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to just use a parameter that I already have chosen, and it's going to be my glowing red eyes, which is a thing that I often trigger by accident. So that's parameter name, I believe, is eye glare. So let's see if we can set the value for that. Inject parameter data. I think is what we want. Okay, so this is saying we can use the inject parameter data function, and we pass in a data object that looks like that. Parameter values. And it's an array. Face found mode set, I think. Connect to VTube Studio is here, where we define our client. We said the data object, or let's see, the mode is add. Data looks like this. Or sorry, no, mode is a child of data, child property like that, and then parameter values. ID is, we call it iGlare. Okay, so we have a function that should add a little bit to my glowing eyes, which I need to make sure I enable for... Actually, no, I think that should be fine. And I'm going to just add a button here. Increment. Increment. Cannibalize this. Okay, let's see what happens now. I've added a button that should allow... Okay, so first we connect to VTube Studio. In Promise P, you have to provide data to inject. Did I not? Did I not? Very helpful error, though, by the way. Denshi, if you are reading this, that is a lot better of an error than, like, what we're about to get back from OBS here, where it just says error. Look at the difference in quality between one guy who really loves VTubers and, like, the smartest people in the entire world working on the industry standard for, like, a platform. I just get error back from one of them, and the other guy says, you have to provide data to inject, specific error code, with, like, a descriptive type, and the request that was failing. Wow. Makes you think, huh? Good job, Denshi, is what I'm saying. I love you. You do great work. Why does it think I don't have data to inject, though? I thought I was pretty clear about that. Let's go back to the docs. Data. Mode. I'm not seeing the problem here. You have to provide data to inject. Denshi, are you on the line? Denshi, I need you really bad. I was trying to, like, lure you out with, you know, being kind and singing you praises, but I don't understand the problem here. The error I'm getting back is you have to provide data to inject on my object callback here. Data inject data, no data provided. My code, I'm very clearly giving data, a mode for add, and my parameter values, which is an array of these guys. iGlare is the name of the parameter that I want to modify. Eventually this will be parameterized out, but for now it's not. Not particularly helpful. I don't know why I thought the minified code would work, or would be readable. You have to provide data to inject. You don't need to send the outer data object? Oh! Thank you. I understand now. There is no... The parameter is named this, yes. I am, yes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are 100% correct. The parameter is already named data. I don't need to include the data property of the object. You are 100% correct. Thank you. So now, we go do this. Connect to VTube Studio. Parameter eyeglare is not found. Did you create it yet? Only for tracking parameters. I think that's what it's called. Or I guess, no, I'm trying to set the value of an output, which I guess I can't do directly. What I should be doing would be this, which is what currently drives my eye glare, and will look very funny, I think, in a moment. It's working! Look how surprised I made myself. I'm fighting. I am fighting the eyebrows here. So now if I turn my glowing up eyes on, because I have them off right now because they get distracting. Model toggles, like that. Why is that not? Oh, because my glowing eyes go the other way. Duh. Like, adding. It's when I scowl that they glow. Okay, so we have that. No? What's going on here? I'm confused. Oh, I guess it's because it's a parameter that's actively being tracked. I'm not able to... Okay, so let's keep messing around with this. We're getting somewhere with this. So, WebDev, VS Code. Instead of add, we'll do set. And we're going to say let browse equal 0. I think that's what I want to do. Realistically, I should be making a new parameter probably for just this and setting that. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Connect. There we go. That's what I wanted. Maybe a bit too extreme. You need to calibrate it, but that would be another input field here. So I've got the eyebrows really raised, and I click increment, and it forcibly lowers them, which is what I wanted. So now it's getting to the part where I have to like mesh this stuff together, I think. But we've got a couple more steps before we want to get there. And we're going to have a whole lot more HTML I need to do inputs for. So right now this is incrementing parameter values for a hard-coded parameter with a specific value. That's fine. We are going to do... Oh, yeah, of course the word parameter is going to show up kind of a lot here, huh? I'm looking for parameter creation. Okay, so that'll make a parameter called audio events. Defaults to 0.5. Max is 1, min is 0. Oh, so another thing that just occurs to me is, so the use case here is my friend wants this parameter to increment slightly further towards one direction or the other every time their mic exceeds a specific volume. But it's not like every frame that it is above that volume, otherwise you would pretty much immediately hit that upper limit. So I need to figure out how to check such that you fire an event on the rising edge only. So once you're above that, like, it doesn't care anymore. It's just when your last volume wasn't and your next one is, we fire this increment function. But not every frame that your volume is above that. And I know how to do that. With that said, so let's do... It's called make param. There we go. So, now when I connect to VTube Studio, it should try and make a parameter for me. We will see if that was the case. Yes. Yes, it did. So now that is defaulting to 0.5 for my glowing eyes. Perfect. So that's the parameter I'm going to use to track that now. We called that audio events. I'm going to abstract that out to a constant. Like such. Hello. Nice to see you. Bonus error. It's genuinely late now. It is 7 p.m. I've been at this for 2 hours. I'm learning so much about worst practices for HTML and JavaScript. How are you doing? LMR, yeah. So, real quick, the task I'm trying to solve here is one of my friends came to me with a pretty solid gag they wanted to perform using their microphone data from OBS to cause something to happen to their model, right? And so I immediately saw in my head the solution of making a quick JavaScript thing that links the VTube Studio JS library and the OBS JS library so that we could get volume data out of OBS and immediately cause something to happen in OBS as a result, and then give them like a little web dashboard that they can just fire up and pretty much set and forget. So right now I'm testing my VTube Studio connection with a custom parameter that will eventually be driven by microphone. I've got my glowing eyes driven by it. Yeah, it is pretty sick, right? I was happy that I actually had an answer for them, and it shouldn't take me too long. So let's see. Now I'm going to click increment, and it should make my eyes glow even more, I think, or less. No. Browse is not defined because I didn't rename the variable. Incrementer is what I'm looking for. There we go. The great creator strikes again. This isn't anything too great, it's just fun. I want to help people. Okay, will this make my eyes glow more or less? Less. There we go. Cool. And then I... Wait, why did it reset? That's impressive to me. Accept the compliment, I can. No, OBS is running on the same machine as VTube Studio. By web dashboard, I just mean an HTML file I can give them, which is why I have all of the script in the script tag here for the client. Because I literally just want to hand them this thing, they can open it in their browser, they can type in their connection information for OBS and VTS, and dial it in like, I want to increment this parameter by X amount every time this microphone event happens, and save that and everything. That is... Either way, I would still need a plugin for that, because they don't want it to be just, like, directly proportional to current mic volume. Like I was saying before, it is whenever they exceed a certain threshold, like an incrementer needs to happen, basically. So I would still need to make a plugin even if I was just reading it out of VTube Studio. But there's also a lot of post-processing you can do on your microphone in OBS that you wouldn't get if you just listened to the system microphone setting. So you could add lots of reverb, or you could add compressor, or ducking, or something like that, or artificial gain. So your OBS microphone is your de facto actual real volume, and then everything before that is like pre-processing, I think, which is why we want to do it this way. So why did my eyes reset? What's causing that to happen? They keep going back to 0.5. Injected parameter values expire after 1 second and need to be resent. Oh, I did forget that. I had no idea that that was true. That's not intuitive to me at all, but the only other time I've ever done parameter injection has been for stuff relating to heartbeats. So I guess that makes sense, because those would be like very, very rapid. I've never done one that's just fire and forget. Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, cool. I understand. Thank you. That's good advice. I wouldn't have known off the top of my head. I'm sure I would have figured it out as soon as I ended stream and looked it up. Or I would have just asked Denshi directly, and he would have been like, please read the documentation. Okay. So that's cool. For now, for the sake of making stuff kind of flashy, what I'm gonna do is... So we can connect to local host, connect, and we get our cool information about our microphone level. I'm going to pick one of these values at random, I guess. I really don't know what the difference between these things are. They're so close also that I don't know that is a huge difference. I don't know. And they're always different, right? Like, if I look at the... Well, okay, we're going to visualize this really quickly, actually. So we are going to take... Check this out. So don't worry about the incrementer now. That's fine. I'm just going to say new value. I'm going to say set. Oh, I got to pull this back up. So what we're going to do is in our loop where we're getting these events back, I'm going to say increment param value item dot, what were these called? Input levels mul. Zero, 2. So now we're going to visualize what these numbers actually mean, I think. I might need to multiply them some more. So we're going to connect to VTube Studio. Connect here. And now this should be, as I get really loud. Okay, there you go. Yeah, see? As I speak louder and louder, you can see my eyes kind of flashing, right? Because I'm currently driving the parameter of the eye glow with my... It looks like the loudest band of my microphone. I guess that's probably like the peak. At any given time. Yeah, I think that's like the peak. So now I could like, in theory, multiply this and it'll probably become very, very apparent. Like, what that correlates to. I don't know why there are two of them, but connect to VTube Studio. And now I should, yeah, okay, so basically now every time I speak they flash. Like a lot, like big, big, big. But that's cool. That's more or less what I needed to do. I can now visualize what that value means, and it does in fact fluctuate. So that's exactly what I wanted, more or less. They don't want like this, because this would just be what you were saying before, where you're driving a tracking parameter, you're using volume as a tracking parameter for animation. I was just connecting it like this to better visualize what the numbers we're getting back from OBS mean. And now I understand that they are pretty much volume peaks. So with that said, let's... What do we want to do next? Oops. So we're going to keep it like that. Let's go back to our HTML, and we're going to add some more settings. So we're gonna have an input field. Said before. Calibration. We don't need a span here. So then we're going to have this div here that's going to be like peak. Like that. Oh, we also need to do a text selector here. That. Okay. So we've got our calibration increment and threshold, and then we've got a space that says the highest peak. So let's print out that peak. That should be easy. Here, we're going to have a value called peak equals 0. Say see if that does anything. Can I read properties of null? Oh, and I gotta remove that now. View. Connect to OBS. Awesome, so now you can easily see the highest peak of my volume, so you can easily calibrate it. I don't think I can get much louder than that. I'll add a reset button for this as well. So now you can know, like, oh, my threshold for volume should be, like, approximately such and such. I think would be a good way to have this. I'll add a reset button that also resets peak back to 0. And then you can adjust your threshold and your audio source. And I think that's, like, pretty much all that we really need to do here. The rest would come down to specifics that the client asks for that I'll have to talk to them about. But we can still, I think, drive my eyes with, yeah. So they're still getting flashed by volume, which is good. That's cool. We have our calibration section here. I also need to, like, add CSS to this. This is a little too boilerplate for even my taste, but I've got CSS I can pop in here. We've got the highest peak. Audio source will just be whatever you want from OBS. There should be a way to just get every source that's currently active, and I can pre-populate this list if I wanted to. Increment amount would be how much you're incrementing the parameter by, and then the threshold. And these would be a separate set of calibration settings. We can make another set of load and save functions. Cool, okay. It's neat to see this actually increase as I get louder. Okay. In the home stretch here, I think, in terms of stuff that I want to do on stream. And then we have another button. That. Yeah, this will need to be formatted differently so the button doesn't fly around, but... Oh, does my reset not work? No, my reset doesn't work because I named it the wrong thing. We called it peak reset, not reset peak. There we go. Okay, so there we go, and then I can click reset, and we'll reset back to a low number. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So now, next step is audio source, increment, and threshold as being their own thing to save. That should be easy. So we can follow the same pattern we've been following all day. We now have calibration, save data, This will be source. Mic aux is good default. Threshold will be 0. And increment would be 0. We can copy our save load functions. The calibration source. Okay, that's good for saving and loading, I think. So it defaults to mic aux. Cool. There we go. So these will need labels, obviously, also. let's get this working. So this is now in my code. I was previously hard coding looking for things that were from the mic/aux, but now we can do calibration save data dot source over here. And so now I'm going to go ahead and change it over to my music. So hide that, refresh here, connect to VTube Studio, connect to OBS. And so now, right now it's flashing based on my eyes, but we can change this to DLC. And now my eyeballs are a music visualizer. Very faint, because my music is pretty quiet compared to my voice, but you can kind of see the glow. I add a ton of gain to this for no reason, for example, that should wake people up. But yeah, there we go. So now that is basically working as desired. So the last thing I'm going to do on stream here now is, and also if I reset this, or refresh this, it should remember that I'm looking at VLC. Perfect. Current session is not authenticated. But we are. Weird. I don't know why it's saying that. We very clearly are. So now, yeah, okay, back to being based on speaking volume. Cool. Very cool. I'm glad that's working. So now I'm going to basically get it to print out every time it detects a rising edge event. So we have... So now we're going to say, the current peak is greater than the calibration save data dot threshold, and last peak data, last peak was less than calibration save data dot threshold. So now we can say this is the rising edge, basically. If our new volume that we just found is bigger than our threshold, but the last frame that we calculated this, it was less, that means we have a rising edge. Rising edge event. Cool. And then also we're just going to do... peak is equal to current peak. This will always have a rising edge frame 1, which I don't think is desirable, but I'll figure out how to solve that later. So now if we go back here, we're not still printing out all the time, right? Okay. So now if we go back here, let's change my threshold to 0.3. There we go. So now, whenever I raise my voice, you can see I get a rising edge event like that. And I can probably add a... I think I definitely need to add a cooldown, like a brief window for this as well, because there's... It looks like it's detecting even between syllables, as you can see that number increment. So I think this pulls, I think, every... it says somewhere, increment or input volume changed. Volume meters. Every 50 milliseconds. So we need to add like a slight cooldown on this also. So let's do that as well. Is equal to cooldown ms. It's going to be... Let's do 1,000 milliseconds, I guess. Like, give it a whole second. I think that's probably sufficient to hammer this out. This could also be configurable. I could actually add this as another configuration parameter. But what we will do is... So we're going to do remaining ms is equal to remaining ms minus 50, is how frequently said this is going to be firing off. And then basically, if we're able to fire again, we have no cooldown remaining. And then finally, and then this is where we'll set remaining ms is equal to cooldown ms. So this should prevent us from hitting between plosives and things like that, I think. So now we get a rising edge event, but only when we wait like a whole second between speaking. As you can see with a normal sentence like this, you're fine. I take a breather, and then I raise my voice again, and we get another event. Number goes up to 3. And then I yell again, we get 4. But if I continue speaking at that high volume, it shouldn't really cause a problem because I'm not, even with the small dips in between speech, I'm not falling back below. And I get quiet again. And then I yell, and it works. Okay. I'll definitely add a section here, I think, for how frequently you want to be able to refire this event. That's something that hadn't occurred to me, that the user didn't ask for, but I think is definitely something they need. And yeah, I think we're like actually pretty good to go here now. The final step would just be configuring this rising edge event to add like a data to the parameters in VTube Studio, but that's really trivial at this point. Uncaught promise. I don't know why I keep saying this. I don't think this is true. My current session is authenticated. Oh, I know why. I know what this is. I know why that is. Let's fix that right now, just to show how smart I am. It's not enough to simply check if the client exists. We need to also know if it's authenticated. And that is a simple function that already exists on this. I just need to make use of it. Is connected. Such. I think I have that one other place right here. Okay, so now if I refresh this one more time, I shouldn't get that error when I connect to VTube Studio anymore. There we go, perfect. And we can still see that my microphone is driving my eyeballs, which is lovely. We love that for me. Cool, okay. Yeah, error is gone. It doesn't say that it can't connect anymore because we wait for the connection flag to be set. And I think this is pretty much good to go. I can get my rising edge events as long as I keep having a pause between speaking and then getting loud again, so that works. I can change this to be from any source that I want, not just my microphone, but any of them. I have a printout for what the peak is that we've currently hit, so you have like a relative frame for what you're supposed to set your threshold to. And then, yeah, I think we're like good to go. I just need to kind of style this a little bit, I think, and kind of talk to the client a little bit more about the exact nature of what they want. Like, for example, when they reset, what should that parameter be driven back to? Should it be 0 every time? Do they need to be persistent between boots of the application here? I don't know. So we're going to find out, but I think that's going to be it for me now, because I got pretty much all the stuff I wanted to show off on stream done. It's been like 2.5 hours, which is about my breaking point for how long I can speak in a single sitting. That's going to be it. My next stream will be Tuesday. I am very, very certain that at 9 a.m. Eastern, I'm going to co-stream the Pokemon Day Direct on this channel. So I'll be doing a watch-along for the first time in a long-ass time. So look forward to that. And then, God willing, Tuesday night, I will be back at it with more Pokemon the video game. But that's it for me. Thank you so, so much for stopping by. It was nice to get back to my roots of, like, programming. I haven't done this on stream in a long time, and I kind of forgot how, I think. But we'll get back and better at it next time. Until then, Bonacera? Yeah. I hope anybody learned something or thought it was interesting or just was able to do their Pomodoro next to me as I got through some work for a friend. But that's going to be it for me here. And I'll go find somebody to raid now. Unless anybody has any recommendations. I'm also open to recommendations. Unless I see somebody immediately on here that I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Not sure. Not a ton of people streaming right now. Shockingly, on like 7 p.m. on a Saturday. I'll just send you guys to Wolfie, probably. Seems like a safe bet. They're doing art right now. That's excellent. But one of the things they're famous for sure. Okay. Go be nice to Wolfie. I'll catch you guys when I catch you guys. Hopefully I see you all Tuesday bright and early to learn about Pokemon on Pokemon Day. If not, that's fine too. I can't make you. Until then, Bonacera and good night.